Empire. The time is now for esports to cross over into culture.
As I'm out riding and connecting with different people around the world, I'm still learning new things, whether it's about a city or music or just culture in general. So I think when it comes to gaming and bicycle riding, they share those, they have those common connectivity points.
That's Nigel Sylvester, BMX legend and influencer on growing up a gamer and now seeing its broad potential. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein. Nigel Sylvester has millions of views of his globe-trotting tricks. He's become a beacon for not only his sport, but for brands that associate with it. For him, esports was a hobby, but now, with the platforms exploding in popularity, he's riding a new wave in content and culture that feels unmatched. Greg Selkoe has been a serial entrepreneur with Xset Gaming, and the two appear to be of like mind about what the broad appeal of esports can be. Our guests this week are Nigel Sylvester, one of the most prolific professional BMX riders, extreme athlete, and major cultural icon and influencer, and Greg Selkoe, who's the CEO of Xset Gaming, XSET, and they are changing the way you will interact with esports through fashion, culture, etc. Thanks to both of you for coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Greg, tell me a little bit about Xset first. What was the genesis of it, and what is the goal of it?
Absolutely. So Xset is a new gaming organization. And for those of you guys out there who don't know what a gaming org is, it's sort of one part professional esports team. We have 9 professional esports teams that compete, on the field, the virtual field. And then we have, a lot of gaming content creators, which we're now really building up. Gaming is sort of a mix between professional sports and lifestyle content because, there's a certain amount of people who are really into the hardcore competition, but there's 3 billion people worldwide that game. And not all of them are playing for the competition. It's for the entertainment value, the interest, the sort of personalities in it. And so Xset's sort of a new kind of org, and I'll tell you how we're different. Couple of things. Well, one, we have Nigel Sylvester, so that makes us the best. But we basically saw sort of the gaming landscape and the other professional gaming orgs, and realized that there was a real lack of diversity. A lot of women game. People from all backgrounds, all races game, and a lot of the orgs looked and felt the same. And so we wanted to lean heavily into having an org that looked and felt like the diversity we saw in America and globally.
Yeah.
And then we also want to have a social good mission as part of sort of our org ethos, meaning we wanted to contribute to, gaming has a lot of positives and there's some negatives too. We wanted to contribute to the positives in social interaction and also helping support causes we believed in. And I think the last thing that really makes us different is we kind of really believe in a pop gaming lifestyle. I mean, gaming is sort of at the epicenter of lifestyle and content now, and we want to do a lot of things. I mean, merch collabs. I mean, really interesting people who also game but have done things like Nigel in their own sort of field that they first got interested or thing that they first got interested in. So it's a mix of those three items.
Nigel, how did you get in this, and are you a big gamer yourself?
Yeah, so I've been gaming my entire life since I was a little kid, and I was playing Sega Genesis with my brother, playing like Madden 95 and things of that nature. So gaming has always been a creative outlet and a creative expression for me. Grew up riding bicycles as well, but wasn't like when I wasn't on my bicycle or wasn't in school or stuff like that. I would definitely game just like it became another outlet to just share and express myself, and also just hang out with my friends. It's something that like my friends and I did all the time. We would go to my boy Dwayne's crib and we would play GoldenEye all day for hours. So it was something that was just fun to do, that you get to connect with your friends and stuff like that. And I've known Greg for years now. We definitely respect like all the businesses that he's created and successes that he's had throughout the years. So when Greg and Will, one of the other founders of Xset, when we sat down and had a conversation about potentially collaborating together on Xset, it was a no-brainer for me. One, because gaming is something I do naturally, and two, I just believe in the ideas that Xset was pushing forward. You know, like Greg spoke about having bringing diversity into gaming. People from all walks of life, men, women, children, whoever. I think that's super important. It's something that's very important to me as well.
Greg, do you view this as a brand like you're going to be Vice for gaming? And that may be the wrong, comparison, but I think you know what I mean. Are you trying to turn gaming into a lifestyle brand? And if you are, which one would you compare it to?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, we are a competitive esports organization, and we're winning. We have a great Valorant team. We have an all-female CSGO team that's like 3-time world champion. So we take the esports part of it, but we don't think they're mutually exclusive. One helps the other. If you have a lot of interesting content creators creating content around with the DNA that's gaming but is lifestyle, it helps, raise the profile of the competitive esports team. And if the competitive esports teams are winning, everyone wants to support teams that are successful, and that helps the content creation. But yeah, look, I think brands that I admire like Nike, Supreme. I created a company called Karma. That's how I met Nigel back in the day. Will and I, who's one of the co-founders and is doing a merch program. It was a lifestyle e-commerce site that sold streetwear, but we also created Comedy TV, which was the first online video platform. We worked with a guy named Shomi, who Lucid Media, who went on to start a Lucid Media. He's going to be doing some stuff with Xset. And we think there's a real crossover between the gaming, the hardcore gaming competition, and then when people practice gaming, right, they're on Twitch, which is streamed, right?
Yeah.
So there's a huge opportunity for the fans to really get to know the gamers, not necessarily always the pros, but the people who game and can do trick shots and do just the same way like Nigel does like an amazing, flip on a bike or he basically does things that people admire because of the style and the way he does it. People do that in gaming too. So I think there's a lot of analogies to that. And people look at the plays and the things that people do, whether they scope someone or they do something in Rocket League where after they score a goal. It's really about the presentation and the pageantry of gaming as well.
I want to talk about the inclusivity aspect, Nigel, because you're in a really interesting space here. The things that you do, there are very, very few people that can do what you do. But if you were in a gaming space, it's a much larger tent of people who can literally relate to you. Has that kind of been your experience in interacting with your fans as an influencer and writer and gamer? Have you found that to be kind of true?
Yeah, for sure. So like when it comes to gaming, like I'm not a gaming professional by any means. I'm like when I'm playing the games that I'm playing every day, which as of recently has been a lot of Call of Duty, like I'm learning new things as I go, and as I interact with some of my friends when when we're doing like team matches and group sessions, we're like teaching each other things all the time. And that's like, I feel like a really cool part of gaming is that connectivity and being able to share information and bond over this activity. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like bicycle riding, something I've been doing like my entire life, and I've been able to dedicate myself and work extremely hard to put myself in a position that is a very like rare position like within my sport. It's definitely different than gaming. But even in that, as I'm out riding and connecting with different people around the world, I'm still learning new things, whether it's about a city or music or just culture in general. So I think when it comes to gaming and bicycle riding, like they share those, like they have those those common connectivity points where we're just simply able to share information and learn new things. And I think I thrive in that space, and I love learning, so it's something I appreciate.
Greg, let's go into inclusivity for a moment, because you've mentioned here, Nigel has too as well, a couple of times, about some of the social justice that seems to be at a part of this. Maybe you're addressing, there is some bullyism that occurs in some of these forums. Can you kind of talk about what those issues mean to you as you build Xset?
Gaming is about having fun, right? So we're not taking the fun out of gaming. And like, as Nigel mentioned, it's about connectivity. It's about, getting together with other people who are passionate about gaming. It's not always about winning, because if you go on an adventure, it's part of teamwork. It's like, a lot of people play because they just love the game, right? And I think that's awesome about it, right? And it really is the new form of entertainment and media, whether people are watching YouTube videos about gaming, whether they're watching, people stream, whether they're playing together, and talking to each other, calling out, to their teammates to work on, like, taking out another squad or whatever it is. But I think that's great when it's good, but sometimes, you mentioned the toxicity or the bullying, as anything in life, it's not regulated. And I don't think the answer is to regulate it from above, but to actually teach people in the game, because it's a new world. It's a virtual world, right? People communicating online. And there's also a little bit of that distance when you're online and you're communicating with people. You don't have to see them face to face. You may be playing with someone halfway around the world, and people can be harsh. People have said things that are, basically, homophobic or racist, or, just the general reflection of what you see in culture, that toxicity. And we're trying to, we're not going to run away. We're not saying you don't trash talk or you don't compete. We're all about that. But there's a certain level of respect we want people to show each other, and we want to lead by example, not by, preaching to people, but just showing, like, we can have fun. We have really cool, interesting people like Nigel, like Sway Lee, like football players like Kyle Van Noy, like Minna Stess, who's a female Olympic athlete, skateboarder. We're building a crew, a collective of people that share the values and that are really cultural influencers in a cool way and have done things that are really artistic and creative and are good people, want to see good things happen for the world. And by that, we lead by example.
Support for this podcast comes from Goldman Sachs. What do Goldman Sachs experts and leading thinkers have to say about trends shaping markets, industries, and the global economy? Stay informed with the latest insights from Goldman Sachs on the economic and market implications of COVID-19. Available on our podcasts at gs.com/COVID-19 or any of your favorite podcast platforms.
Nigel, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the future of esports, which clearly has exploded. And you've come from an interesting background with what you've done as a professional athlete, because, as you know, through the years, BMX riding was a semi-professional thing. The X Games come along, the Olympics come along, it becomes a bigger and bigger thing. What trajectory do you see esports on right now?
Yeah, if we go back just even a few years and to see the explosion of esports, it's pretty fascinating. We think about how far technology has come and how fast it's moving. We think about how society is moving fast, how people are looking at things differently, how new ideas are changing the way we live. And I feel if esports continues to go in the trajectory that it's going, which I feel is pretty confident to say that it will, I think it has a really good chance, or it will, in a way, change the world, change how we communicate, change how we compete. Gaming's been around for a very long time, and so many people use it as an outlet. Now to see that there are different gaming teams and organizations and competitions popping up, the way that gaming is being injected in, and the way that other cultures are being injected into gaming, you start to see artists like a Sway Lee do certain music or album releases through platforms like Twitch or other gaming platforms. I feel it has opportunity to be just as significant as other like major sports and major forms of entertainment. So it's an exciting space. It's a developing landscape, and because it's something that's very natural to myself, to Greg, and to all the other founders and teammates and associates of, I feel like we have a great opportunity to do something really special.
I know, it's wild. My 8-year-old knows who Travis Scott is because of Fortnite.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so things have really, I mean, it has shifted in a way. The paradigm has shifted where entertainment is crossing over into this in a very fast and efficient way. Greg, what's the broad overview of esports? Like, it feels like it's limitless. Where do you see it going over the next, 2, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head on a couple of things you said, and then I want to build on what Nigel said. It's like, look, gaming is not, this is just the beginning of where it's going, right? Gaming is going to get more interactive, more realistic. There's, VR and movement and, AI tools and stuff are going to make the experience more like a real sport at some point, where I think people will actually be moving and be much more immersive. And so the whole world, like you said, your son discovered Travis Scott through Fortnite, and obviously what's his name, Marshmallow did that huge DJ event, and that my daughter heard about that. She's 9 because of Jerry Marshmallow, because of that, just like your son. So it's like you got to go where the young people are, and now increasingly the older people are, where the eyeballs are, where they spend their time. It's in gaming, right? And I think one of the things what I think makes Nigel such a good member of the team, not only gaming, but he's also part of giving ideas and concepts for how we grow in the space as the space evolves. If you look at what he did with Go, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the series, but basically he bikes and does his amazing tricks and flips and stuff, but he goes to a city, right? Or LA, like Dubai, London, and essentially there's all sorts of music and entertainment folks and like friends that he's known over the years, like Rick Ross or Steve Aoki, who I've done stuff in the past. He's an amazing guy of Ferg from ASAP Mob Crew, like ASAP Ferg, and they pop up in the video, right? And it's like he's already in some ways with Go done. I think that's almost like a archetype of how gaming is going to work, right? He's married BMX with basically a one-cut shot art form video with celebrity appearances and people who are cultural influences and little Easter eggs and things popping up. All that can be done in the gaming space. It's not just about the hardcore competitions. It's about the experience. Like, I'm in the game and the players got on Nike Dunks. I can buy those. I can, or those are like, not even released yet. And that's kind of like you can get data on what people think of the stuff in the game. It's a virtual product. There's so many things that are going to touch, are being gamified and are going to touch gaming all throughout culture. And we want to be thinking about it from a big macro perspective. I mean, Nigel's been amazing and contributing ideas, and we're going to do some really cool things with him and some of the other content creators, influencers in the squad, and as well as our professional players. Is how we kind of innovate and push it forward and redefine what a gaming org looks like, feels like, and does.
Nigel, for you, because listen, a lot of people know who you are. A lot of people want to follow what you're doing and they want to interact with you. As you have gone through that process through the years of interacting with your fans and growing a fan base, as you look at it through the prism of esports as well, how do you grow the interactivity amongst fans and groups of young people?
That's a good question. Similar to what like Greg said, where it's like the esports world and the esports industry is limitless. We talk about so much of it is based off of a virtual world where you have no boundaries. You're able to do anything. So I'm approaching it in the same exact way that I approached my career thus far, living out my imagination and thinking, well, what are like the coolest, craziest, wildest ideas that we could bring to life? And when you apply that to a virtual world, like we can legit bring anything that I can think of to life within that world, and using those moments and that creativity to, 1, inform, 2, to educate, and then 3, just connect with people around the world, and the fact that's what gets me so excited about the direction that esports and e-game is taking. When we now are we're shedding away those limitations and what's possible, and that's exciting. I'm excited to flesh out these ideas that Greg and I have been speaking about, and using Xset as a platform to launch those things and share with the people who are into gaming and people who may be new to gaming. I think that's very exciting.
Greg, I'll give you the last word. So you are in the midst of building something. Do you know the answer to what does the gaming community want? And then secondarily, what do brands want to be associated with it right now?
Yeah, well, I think this is just my thoughts on it, and we could be wrong, but it sounds so far since we launched in July, we've been getting so much positive feedback from the fans and from the people who are in the Xset, want to rep the set, and feel like they're part of it. Is that I think we've definitely touched the nerve with bringing in this not only diversity but cultural diversity in terms of different athletes, different musicians. We have someone who's a chef in Toronto. We're looking at signing. He's also a gamer. We're looking at a guy out of LA who's a clothing designer. He's actually an artistic designer coming. We want to have this team be like, all right, all these people with different interests outside world, and people who are just interested in gaming and built their credibility in the gaming world all come together. And I think that's what the fans want to see. They want to see creativity. They want to see cultural relevance. They want to see things that they see in the real world, like sneaker culture, like hip hop and electronic music, fused into their gaming lifestyle and makes it feel more appealing to them because it's something they can relate with. And I think gamers want to continue to see new and exciting ways that we can blend culture into gaming. They also, some of them are really into the competitive side and really want to see players who are just really good, like the Jordans of the world. But Jordan, obviously, Michael Jordan had so much influence on and off the court with his sneaker and all the other things he did. I think he's a good example of someone who was one of the first people to really change the culture of basketball to be more lifestyle, more fashion, all these other elements. And we also want to have a social good component. I mean, the Gen Z kids who are coming up in the world, they care about these issues. Their friends, the country is, getting more and more diverse, and their friends that they game with, they hang with, they're from all different backgrounds, and the world's changing, and we need to be part of that change and part of making the future. And I think, those are some big lofty ideals, but we always go big, everything we've done, and Nigel's an example of that in terms of everything he's done. And I think the other guys, other founders like Clinton Sparks, who's a Grammy-nominated DJ, Will, who's done projects with Supreme and OVO, and Marco's had 3 or 4 exits, and Erin Ashley Simon, she's, a major advocate for women in gaming and Black and Latinx people in gaming. And also she's just a great personality. She's done a Super Bowl commercial. So we're bringing together a group of really smart, really talented people like Nigel that are like-minded. And so I think that's what people in gaming want. And so far, all I can say is the response from our fans and the people who started following Xset. Xset didn't exist before July, and we're already, considered a tier 1 org. And I'd argue we're the fastest org to get there in history. So I think something we're doing is working and connecting with people. But we still got to win on the field, too. So
Greg Selkoe is the CEO of Xset Gaming. Nigel Sylvester is one of the best BMX riders and extreme athletes in the world. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you, bro.
On the next Future Sport podcast, teen brothers who are part of the new generation of traditional sports fans seeing the numbers as the future.
When you watch a sports game, your eyes and your brain, no fault of anyone, but it's just how the human brain works, is very prone to biases. You're more likely to remember some plays over other plays, and it's impossible for the brain to truly depict how valuable a particular play is by a given player.
That's Aiden and Maxwell Resnick, authors of The Stats Game, on growing up huge sports analytics fans. That will do it for this episode. As always, the future is now. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein. The Future Sport Podcast is brought to you by 3Advance, developers of sports tech apps that are AI-powered and UX-focused. So if you're looking to create some apps for your startup or your sports biz calls for some artificial or business intelligence, you should check out 3Advance. They're incredible. Go to 3advance.com. That's the number 3advance.com.